Hi, I'm David Hardesty. In this lecture, we examine the taxability of products sold using the Internet. The objectives of this lecture are to learn what products are subject to sales and use tax when they are sold using the Internet, learn the source of rules for identifying taxable products such as digital products, and understand the way in which a state's membership in the SSUTA can change the way products are taxed. Let's look at the general rule for products that are tangible personal property. In nearly all states that impose a sales tax, tangible personal property is subject to tax. State statutes ordinarily say that tangible personal property is subject to tax unless specifically exempt, and then go on to define tangible personal property. State statutes and regulations provide exemptions from tax for specific tangible personal property. For example, most states exempt food and prescription medicine from tax. As a rule, if there is no specific exemption for a specific tangible product, then the taxpayer should assume that the product is taxable. If state statutes declare that all tangible personal property is taxable unless specifically exempt, then it is critical to know how tangible personal property is defined. Tangible personal property is usually defined as personal property which may be seen, weighed, measured, felt, or touched, or is in any other manner perceptible to the senses. This is the quoted definition is from Georgia. In general, Georgia's definition corresponds to the definitions used in other state statutes. The Streamlined Sales and Use Tax Agreement carries its own definition of tangible personal property, which is the definition used by all SSUTA member states. This definition is personal property that can be seen, weighed, measured, felt, or touched, or that is in any other manner perceptible to the senses. Notice that this is exactly the same definition as the Georgia definition. This correspondence of the two definitions testifies to the nominal agreement among the states as to a common definition of tangible personal property. In the context of electronic commerce, difficulty in identifying tangible personal property usually arises only with digital products. Digital products are products that can be delivered electronically and then stored by the buyer on tangible media. Tangible media can include, for example, a computer, an iPod, an iPhone, or a disk. The most common digital products today are software, music, videos, graphics, and books. What all of these have in common is they can be delivered electronically and stored on tangible media, and they can also be delivered physically on tangible media. States have not come to universal agreement as to whether digital products are tangible personal property. Some states tax electronically delivered software while others do not. Some states make no provision at all for other digital products. The SSUTA provides specifically for all digital products. Therefore, in SSUTA member states, The taxpayer will always know whether a particular digital product is taxable. As discussed later, taxability of a particular product will be disclosed in the state's taxability matrix. We can talk most knowledgeably about electronically delivered or downloaded software. Downloaded software has been around long enough that almost all states have written rules regarding its taxability. About half of the states tax downloaded software and half do not. A state-by-state analysis of the taxability of downloaded software is provided in Chapter 17. Interestingly, as an analysis of state-by-state rules for taxing downloaded software indicates, the rationale for taxation or non-taxation is generally vague. There's not, for example, been a general consensus as to whether downloaded software meets the definition of tangible personal property. Instead, most states have decided on the taxability of downloaded software without discussing their reasons. The basis for taxation or tax exemption may be economics or politics, but not reasoned analysis of the character of downloaded software. Oddly, some courts have determined that downloaded software is not tangible, despite the fact that as it is traveling over the phone lines in the form of digital packets, it is clearly tangible, since it can be detected and measured. And when it is recorded on a disk, it clearly takes up space. However, this is not surprising since courts in the past have ruled that software to be intangible even when it is delivered on tangible media, such as a disk or a tape. In most states, courts have not considered the tangibility of downloaded software. Instead, tax authorities have issued rulings or legislators have written laws to provide that such software is either taxable or not, without providing any guidance on whether such tax software is tangible. Now let's talk about other digital products. A particular state's rules on the taxability of downloaded software generally do not give us guidance on the taxability of other digital products. This is because, as noted earlier, states seldom have a theoretical justification for taxing or not taxing downloaded software. So, despite the fact that the character of downloaded software may be quite similar to the character of downloaded music, the taxation of these two digital products may be at polar opposites. A number of states have issued specific rulings on the taxability of various digital products. Most of these are SSUTA member states, but not all are. For example, the state of New York has issued rulings stating that it does not tax downloaded music. It is interesting to note, however, that New York has also issued a ruling under which downloaded software is taxable. In the absence of specific rules on the taxability of digital products, such as music, video, books, and graphics, we have no basis for making a reasoned determination in that particular state. In any instance where a seller is subject to tax in a state and is selling digital products to that state, the best advice is to seek a ruling on the taxability of the product in question, if there is no specific guidance. As we will see, if the state is a member of the SSUTA, then taxability of other digital products should be provided in state statutes. We have mentioned the SSUTA several times in this lecture. The SSUTA requires member states to indicate in their statutes the taxability of all digital products. A state's laws must include product categories of software and specified digital products, which includes digital audiovisual works, that is video, digital audio works, music, and digital books. Essentially, these items are pulled out of the definition of tangible personal property and given their own classifications. What this means is states must specifically determine whether to tax these items. States can tax or exempt all of them, or they can tax or exempt individual items. Thus, for SSUTA member states, the taxability of such items should be clear. Finally, if a state is a member of the SSUTA, how will it determine the taxability of sales made by sellers not registered with the SSUTA? In general, the taxability of specific products should be the same, regardless of whether a seller is registered. Earlier, I mentioned the state taxability matrix. A state must publish and keep up to date a taxability matrix that follows the format set out by the SSUTA. The taxability matrix includes all of the product categories required by the SSUTA and includes an indication by the state regarding the taxability of each category. For taxability matrices published by each SSUTA member state, see streamlinesalestax.org. The final topic in this lecture is the effect of selling products online versus selling products in stores. The final question in this lecture is, how does selling a product on the internet affect its taxability? The simple answer is not at all. In general, a product sold from an online store is subject to sales and use tax in the same manner as it would be if sold over the counter. That is, a sale from an online store is taxed in the same manner as a sale from a bricks and mortar store. The taxability of a particular product is not determined based on the manner in which it is sold, but instead is usually based on the rules of the state to which the product is delivered. A sale online does not change the character of a product and does not change its tax classification. The taxation of a particular product is usually determined based on the laws of the state with the jurisdiction to tax the sale. This is usually the state to which the product is delivered or the state in which the product is used. For example, assume Webco is an online retailer of consumer products with a physical presence only in state A. It makes a sale of product X to a customer in state B, where the product will be used. If the customer is deemed to take delivery in state B, then the taxability of product X will usually be determined under the laws of state B. In addition, if the customer takes delivery of the product in state A, but immediately transports the product for use in state B, then in many cases, the taxability of the product will be determined by the laws of state B.